Shut up and sit down.
Howdy guys, it's Andy from Bigmeks Workshop and Painting Studio, and today I'm painting Imperial Fist. This is part of a larger commission, so I'm doing things in a little bit of a different way to what I would normally use, and I was slightly restricted to the colour choices. So this is not the standard sort of Imperial Fist colour scheme, what you would normally expect. So starting off with Filthy Brown, using the airbrush as it makes life a lot easier, and this is also a batch paint as well. So I'm doing an entire Imperial Fist army using this colour scheme all at the same time. So Filthy Brown with the airbrush, getting a good coat, as Filthy Brown's a great colour for just getting that nice solid yellow base, what works really well. After that I'm doing a sort of a hotspot highlight with the airbrush using Ice Yellow, which is a really vibrant colour, but that's just to allow me to get a darker colour over the top but with real vibrant highlights. I'm just using hotspots on this point to just bring out that nice yellow colour what I'll be using shortly. So once that's gone down, I'm doing two layers, very thin layers, even through the airbrush it's very thin, of flat yellow by Vallejo. And the reason why I'm doing two layers is to just tone down some of the ice yellow hotspots just a little bit, as it was a little bit over vibrant from what I wanted. So I'm just bringing that colour down just an extra touch, and what you get is a really nice vibrant yellow, what you can work with. So here we are at the yellow stage, and I'm just adding that second layer of flat yellow now, and just ever so gentle, making sure that the layer is incredibly thin, as I don't want to take it down too much. I'm just trying to blend in some of the excessive highlights from the hotspot sections. So at this point now I'm coming up from 45 degrees from below, and I'm using Burnt Umber. It's really thin, and all this is doing is just adding a little bit of warmth to the recess areas, allowing that detail just to really show off, and getting a really nice warm yellowy colour, adding some lovely sort of depth to the model as well. So whilst you're doing this, like I said, you've got to emphasise how thin this is. This is like wash level consistency. I've turned the airbrush right down. I'm just firing it into all the extreme sections. So now onto the hand detail work, and I'm just blacking out all the sections what need to be a different colour to the yellow. So this takes forever. It's one of the most soul destroying sections of any paint job, especially when you're doing a batch paint. You need to black out all the trim, all the inlets for the flexible armour sections. You know, you name it, it's done. So all that work you've done with the airbrush, you now have to go back over with a different colour. So now onto the Aquila sections, and this is going to be using Corn Red. Now obviously, as always, a couple of thin coats of that. It's a really thick paint, but it does go over the black ever so well, so you can get a nice even colour onto the Aquilas, and really allows you to get a really interesting, vibrant red straight over the black. Now this is a GW paint, so obviously you need to thin it down a little bit extra to what you would normally do, but the colour itself is great. And as you can see, I've also put the strip on the helmet as well. So now this is the first highlight of the Corn Red. I'm using Mephisto on Red. It's sort of a gentle overbrush, picking out the individual feathers on the Aquilas, and just allowing some of that Corn Red to show through. I want this layer really thin because it needs to be slightly darker than the trim sections. And the trim sections were also done in Mephisto on Red as well. So next is Mournfan Brown, onto all the leather sections. As you can see, it's quite thin paint, but it's a very warm brown colour. Now I would have gone for a darker colour against this sort of yellow, to make it a bit more stark, but again, I was restricted to the choice of colours I would choosing, but it does work very well for that. Onto the metalwork inside, obviously the flex sections of the armour and everything. This is metallic black by Vallejo. Obviously you could use lead belcher if GW paints more your thing, but it just goes onto all the barrel sections, the flex sections, all the things what would be more of a bare steel sort of colour. So onto the brown again, and it is Agrax Earthshade onto all the brown sections, as Agrax is just the best colour for this sort of thing. It really ties the model together and gets a lot of depth into the leatherwork. Whilst we're waiting for that to dry, next is Army Painted Red Tone, which is going on to all the red sections where you can. And you can replace this with Caribou Crimson. I chose Red Tone because it's a little bit darker, slightly less glossy as well. I wanted it to really emphasise the detail work on the Aquilas, as although they're just a generic Dark Imperium kits, the detail work on these Primaris Marines is awesome. They are really, really nice models, and obviously it's a great start point for any Imperial army. So next, whilst that's being done, it is pale yellow onto the first edge highlights of the armour trim. As you can see, I'm just picking out all those frontline areas where the detail is just going to, where the highlight is just going to really pop, make it emphasising the edges of the model. I'm using a 00 here, Winsor & Newton, and obviously the paint is very thin again, as that allows you to patch up any mistakes where you get a little bit overzealous. For the second highlight, it is Ice Yellow, which you'll remember from the Xenophil highlights earlier. It's Vallejo paint. I don't think there's really a GW equivalent, as it's very much on the ivory sort of spectrum, but it does really make a great highlight for any yellows if you want something to really, really pop. Now, as you can see, I'm not doing full highlights here. I'm just emphasising the extreme corners. On the trim, as you can see, I'm painting a different model here for this section. It is Evil Sun Scarlet for the first edge highlight on the red, and again it's for exactly the same reason. It's a really vibrant colour and it just really pops against that Mephiston red. Onto the Aquilas. Now I'm using Wazdaka red, which is more of a sort of a pinky, sort of peachy sort of colour. As you can see, I'm just gently feathering it onto the Aquila, keeping the darker shades in there, but also allowing that Wazdaka to really start to make the tips of the feathers pop. Now I can't emphasise enough how much it really makes a difference if you start to show leaving some of the darker colours through. It really does make a difference to the highlights, makes them look so much better. Onto the trim sections again, and the final highlight from that is Wild Rider red, just using on the extreme edges. There's two different colours for the red, the Eagle Suns and the Wild Riders, etc. Just makes the Aquilas really stand out to the other red, the much brighter red for the trim work. Just giving that extra bit of depth and detail to the model. So onto the black sections now. So anything what's actually staying black is now given a first generous highlight with black grey by scale 75. This is as dark as I can get without actually mixing my own colour up. and I'm just giving a nice broad edge highlight with that to allow the detail to really start to stand out. The next highlight is Dawnstone. Again, keeping these final edges as narrow as possible. It just really magnifies the sharpness of the points. Now, if you it's not a massive problem if the highlight gets a little bit thick. You can always just either rub it off with your finger or come back with a darker colour just to tidy it up again. Something I have to do frequently. Just come back with the original colours or the darker shade what you need to use, and just go back and just even out those highlights a little bit. So onto the leather work again. Now I've had a second layer of Mornfang just to tidy everything up. I'm now using XV88 as the first highlight. I'm just as you can see, I'm just following the creases in the sides of the holster there. There's a very subtle but defined level of detail on the holster, and if you highlight that section independently, it really does make a difference. And a edge highlight with Karak stone, just picking out those top details, really emphasising the points and the hot spots where the light would actually connect. Now I've also done a bit of Karak stone onto the Purity Seal tapes, and I'm now just finishing off that section with Upshabti bone, and then finished with a little bit of Screaming Skull just to add a few edge highlights on there as well, just to make the Purity Seals really pop up, giving that nice vibrant Purity Seal sort of look that stands out against the rest of the model. Now I do apologise, I didn't get the gold work on camera or the power blade, as well, the gold work I was more focused on doing the commission work, and the power blade I screwed up that many times I couldn't get decent footage of it anyway. That took me 4 or 5 attempts to get the power blade right, and I'm still not totally happy with it. So I didn't want to show you a tutorial of me completely balding something up. So onto the edge highlights of the metal work, and that is Vallejo's Vallejo's chainmail over the top of the black metal. And it's a really good strong colour, quite vibrant, but it's not over the top. And I'm just adding those detail works just to the edges of the metal, allowing that final sort of shine where you'd expect it to be. There you are. After a little bit of weathering and an oil wash, and the obviously the power weapon work, I've got a decent looking lieutenant now. Obviously I put the transfers on and made things everything what you'd expect. Now there is a few things I would change. Obviously if this was my choice of colours, I'd do things slightly different, and I really want to work on my power blades because I'm not happy with how I'm getting them in a minute. But as always, I've got several thank yous to make. Our Patreons, which are awesome, which is D-Wack, Warren, Love Minis, The Orc Boys, Joe Spearpoint, Ludwig Offbauer, Kit Lindquist, and Akamus of Dawn. You are our top level Patreons, and therefore you are awesome. If you guys want to help us produce more videos, please hit like and subscribe. Check out our Patreon site. It's as little as $1 a month, and it really does help us to allow us to keep up the quality of what we're doing. Obviously, we've also got an affiliate, which is the Outpost in Sheffield. Reduced price models for everybody. All the kit and equipment, what you could imagine. Check out the affiliate link. If you buy anything through our affiliate link, we get a bit of store credit as well, which helps us out even more, and we can only thank you for doing that. So anyway, thank you for watching this video, and please check out our other videos. You're awesome for watching. Thank you very much. This is Andy signing out. Take care. Goodbye.